Hey everybody, it is Team Trekyards podcast time again. I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Cockins. Welcome back, guys. Jazz hands.
Welcome back. Yes. Anyway, so Samuel.
Yes.
Discovery.
Yes.
Star Trek Discovery.
I've heard of it.
What do you think being on a digital service like CBS All Access will make it successful, or do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Let's discuss.
Well, I want a mission briefing this style. When you first heard that was happening, what did you think at the time? What was your first gut reaction?
I wasn't overly impressed. I thought it's a scam to get more money because it's going to only be available on CBS All Access. Ooh. We don't have that available here,
neither do we.
Which really was like, how are we going to see it?
That was my first worry. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was kind of concerned. But I remember back to the days of Voyager and them launching UPN and with Voyager as its flag show, and UPN. I don't know how well it's doing these days.
Yeah, I was, I think, a combination of worried and impressed. Because the way you can take Star Trek is a number of different directions, and going the conventional route is fine, but look at modern media, look at how much it's changed. Look how many people... I mean, I'll go straight away to the reason I think it's good, and I think will succeed, is because look how many people use Netflix as their primary media source. Use Amazon, use Hulu, use... all these, even just YouTube. I watch YouTube videos every single day, not only on my second monitor as a editing like background noise, but also because there are several sort of vaguely sort of shows online I watch, from blog stuff to actual shows to just gameplays. I mean, that is more... I don't watch television. I haven't watched... The only live TV thing I ever watch is the Doctor Who yearly Christmas special, and I suppose... And yeah, that's only because I want to watch it there and then. Every other Doctor Who I download in high def and watch in high def because I don't want to... You know what I mean? So, yeah, there is... Normal media is fine when you use the digital as well, but then you've got to go for different contracts. Are you playing on this network, on this network, on this network? I mean, I'll let you respond first, and I'll say why the best reason for this is. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, what alleviated my fears was when they said that it would be available on Space, and
which is the TV channel.
Yeah, it's a regular TV channel, and there's another service that's available on up here as well. I'm not sure if it's Crave TV, but there's Space and one other one. And then in America, it's going to be, or not America, elsewhere, it's going to be available on Netflix as well. Not in Canada, though.
Well, isn't that kind of surprising, though? I mean, there is big kerfuffle about it. So it's exclusive All Access, and it's like it's exclusive apart from most of the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
like, they're kind of putting out their core fans. Like this, a lot of the Star Trek fans are in America.
Yeah, the majority. That's their demographic. If you can solidify the American market, you've got a successful show.
Yeah, and a lot of Americans aren't happy about having to buy a new subscription service to watch Star Trek. So I see a lot of problems with them doing this. I can see why they want to get their CBS All Access kind of launched with it, although now that it's been set back, I'm not sure how the CBS All Access's launch is going to go. I don't know if it has been launched even. Do you even know?
I don't have it. I can't have it. It makes zero difference to me.
Yeah, same here. Like
I own all of Star Trek in different formats. One for editing, one for DVDing. So I mean, it's just, what I mean. Makes no difference to me.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's been launched or if the launch has been pushed back to coincide with the Discovery, but that's 5 months. I don't know if they would do that for the whole service. So I see a lot of negative things about it and very few positives for everyone except CBS. I can see the positives for CBS for trying to do this. Star Trek's kind of their cash cow. So best way to get their service up and running really quick is to have it exclusive to that service. That makes sense, but I can see a lot of bad side to this.
I like they'll come into this with different perspectives, because I see the opposite. I see mostly good things about this, and I guess I should explain why, because a downer there, Stuart. With most no, so what's great about this is that it's not normally when you make production TV, both the studio and the network are sort of paying for it. It's like a combo thing because they get exclusive rights and then they take the profits from advertising and this thing, which means that you've got to do different rules. You've got to, that's why most television has, the 9 o'clock, well, I don't know if the rest of the world has 9 o'clock, swearing, and you can't do nudity. As soon as you get onto HBO for Game of Thrones, boobs every week, extreme violence. I mean, yeah, exactly. So the rules are different on different networks. Now,
yes,
people and the way there's always been X-rated, 18-rated, R-rated films and things where they just throw that stuff in to, I guess, hit that nerve of humanity. But when you incorporate certain darker, more realistic sides, like in Westworld, I've heard there's this whole naked robot scenes, and they're so clinical. It's sort of a shock value, but it's a very real value, but it gives a certain depth to it, as opposed to if they're wearing robes, it would just be, okay, it's just whatever. But there's a certain intensity that you get by using this realism. Same with graphic violence. Yeah. You don't use it every scene, but when you use it, you can push those boundaries. And if you're a good filmmaker, you can push them in such a creative way that actually just adds something.
It's not there just for the sake of having it. It's there
which it used to be
to serve a storytelling purpose. Yes.
Yeah, or at least a cinematic purpose.
Or enhance the storytelling vibe. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're saying.
That's why a U movie, or a Hunger Games, most fans of Hunger Games 1 would have liked to have seen violence and stabbing and kids getting slaughtered because that was the book. Whereas now it's just kid friendly. There's the PG, it's okay versus something a bit darker. And then you've got the grit, which is not necessarily needed for like Dark Knight and those films because of reasons. But there's different variants. But Game of Thrones is a great example. But why I like it being on this exclusive service is that CBS is paying for this show. Mm-hmm. It is a almost fully funded internal show on their own network, which means their own rules. Now, beyond that, other sites can license and censor if they wish, but license from that. Although Netflix and things don't do, they put warnings before things, so it's all like, it's fine. Which means they can do their own rules, their own lengths, like Netflix does. I mean, Jessica Jones, every single show is a different length because it needs to be. I mean, it's just a narrative thing. They can do different levels of violence, of swearing, of all these different things, which opens up the toolbox. Whereas if they had to be on, a certain network, even if they maybe own the network rules come into play. What's also great is that just like Netflix used to be a service where you pay and they give you DVDs.
Yeah.
Then it became a streaming service, and it was just a way of getting media. Then they started making their own shows, but you're paying for the shows. Every single person who pays for Netflix is paying for those shows, even if you don't watch the shows. But because you're making these amazing shows you can watch on Netflix, more people are going to give and keep giving. And they get to create amazing new shows that people just see, wow, amazing quality. That's why you now have like 3 Marvel Netflix shows. So it's an internal system where it's paying for itself, but it's pushing those boundaries. So CBS, if we, or I guess you got, well, not even either of us because we're neither Americans, but if the Americans who want this show, if they are paying the CBS All Access, that is the budget for Discovery, which means that Discovery will have a set budget based on how many people. The more people that watch, the more people that support, mean the higher the budget will be, which means the more they can put in, which means the higher quality the show is, and you're not being restricted by those censors. You have the direct money to show value, which means that CBS can 100% push this show, push the quality, and push a product which they are proud of because they are in control. Both, and we get a say because we Americans give them the budget. If less people watch it, they'll have to change. If more people donate, they can make better shows.
But that's what scares me and is the negative aspect of this, because I know a lot of people have downright said they're not going to pay for CBS All Access. So if that's what they're basing the budget of the show on, you got to think. I mean, I'm sure they are getting paid from Netflix International to do that, and from Crave TV, Space TV over here in Canada. They are getting funds from that as well to actually farm the show out to these other companies, right? So that's part of the big budget. That's fine. But I'm afraid of all the pirating that's going to happen around this. And that's a sad thing to say, but it's a reality in today's world. A lot of people aren't going to want to pay for it. And if the show is dependent upon its subscriptions to the service for its budget, then we could run into a little bit of a problem as far as that goes.
You're very, very right, especially with how modern culture is. But I counter that by saying Game of Thrones Season 1 was the most pirated show of all time, and it was being pirated almost more than the viewers were watching it on TV. It was so dramatic because, I don't know, they wanted to see it more than they could get it because HBO wasn't available in some places, whatever. And the people, the producers said, we don't mind. We'd rather you didn't, but we don't mind because that means people are watching, getting invested, which means merchandise, DVD sales. I mean, that people who watch season 1 of Game of Thrones, you will love it by the end of it, which means you want more, which means you'll support to get more in some way or another. And at the end of the day, if they can get this massive, ecosphere of love for this show, that's only a good thing. So if Star Trek Discovery, yes, if it's 50% pirated, but it's such a very amazing show, the show will continue and improve because of the quality of the show. People will notice better, it'll get better sponsors, it'll get more people. I mean, it builds upon itself. If they make a rubbish show and people just, illegally download it just to see it because, might as well. Like if this was an enterprise, season 1, the show was not good enough, you know what I mean? That would have suffered because people had pirated it, they wouldn't have cared. But season 1 of Enterprise was not that great a show, just quality-wise. Yeah. But if they can push into a super, even just on the level of some more modern shows like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, even just a mid-level of that, people will support it.
I'm sure they're going to because new serialized story arc. So yes. Story arc over the whole season, 13 episodes. They can spend more time, more money on each episode instead of spreading it out. And I've said before, having those fluff episodes that are just god awful. That always rank in the top 10 worst episodes ever. Yeah.
There's no filler,
Yeah, exactly. And there's also the rumors floating around that this is supposed to be a darker, grittier, more realistic adult version of Star Trek because even in the future, people have personal problems. People have those dark areas in their lives. Plus, nudity, sex, things that, as you said, enhance the storytelling vibe. But you can't have on network TV. Canada's rules are different. After 10 o'clock or whatever, you can have swearing, nudity, in the States, most states down in the States, you can't. It still gets all bleeped out, even after hours, which is awful when you're watching it. So it takes away from it. So yeah, to have it on its own dedicated service for that very reason, you can do what you want. Less episodes, you can spend more time, more money, and make the episodes and the stories much more cohesive and much more enjoyable. It'll suck the viewers in. It'll be a better package overall because of that realism and because of the amount of production values they can put towards each episode.
And I'm sorry, but all those that say, boycott Discovery, I'm not going to pay, if the episode 1 on TV, and if, say, episode 6, and people are saying, well, this is the best Star Trek ever made, it's different, but it's the best, the older folks among you aren't going to go onto a pirated site and illegally download. You're going to say, okay, fine, I'll either wait for the DVD and still give them that money, or they'll subscribe, Because
it's only like $8 a month or something.
Yeah, quality generates interest, and interest generates more interest. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Although I want to throw another thing out there. You say about how if people don't support CBS All Access, well, obviously you've got people who aren't even going to watch Star Trek are going to pay for the access with the service. It's like a Netflix, like whatever. It's got all the Treks and a lot of other shows, which is fine, and it's great they're doing original programming. But they said several months ago, and now Discovery is delayed, 8 months before the thing's release, Discovery was profitable. They'd recouped their entire production budget, and then some, just on selling the show, and they're at that point, CBS All Access people who did the service. So anyone beyond that point is beyond that. And with 8 months before its release, they're profitable. So 8 months of extra money. The first season is completely covered beyond. They can throw more and more money at the first season to make it even better at this point. Season 2, maybe if the quality's not great, they might not get that same renewing licenses. It might be less. But they don't need the CBS at this point. The CBS All Access people, they've got more than enough money than even their high budgets. And they were going to start high, budget-wise. They were going to do it. And we've talked about their budget previously. They were going high. They want to make a splash on TV, the next something or other. Especially Game of Thrones now sort of closing out in a year or two. So just the fact that it's profitable means you don't... you're right. If 50% of the budget is CBS All Access and 50% is just being on Netflix and being on Spaced, and they've already done it without anyone paying to watch the show when it comes out, I don't think its financial stability is in question. It's just a case of how much they want to put into it. And that only gives you more hope, because if it's doing well now, because obviously Netflix sees the benefit in having Star Trek, the new Star Trek. You can imagine season 2, 3, 4, the budget suddenly goes up to 10 million in episode 15. You could be looking at, well, now because it's so popular, let's make a quick miniseries with the extra money that we had. Let's make a quick Enterprise miniseries. Let's make a quick, It's like Battlestar Galactica. They made Razor. They made The Plan. Because it was so popular, they managed to just throw some extra money and make 2 other movies with the same sets. Things can be done, and it's such. I'm not worried.
and there's a lot less chance of cancellation, because we're not relying on a network to renew your contract. You own the network. So if your viewership isn't what you want it to be, try increasing the production values for the next season. If that doesn't work, then you have another season. You can wind it down. It's not going to get abruptly canceled like TOS did. But yeah, like you said, with the amount of money, they've already got season 1 covered, because this is Star Trek's 50th. People eat up Star Trek. Like I said, it's their cash cow for CBS and Paramount. So I think it's a great idea to launch CBS All Access. As far as CBS is concerned, it's great for them for that very reason, because people are going to subscribe regardless, whether there's pirating going on or not. But yeah, selling it off to the other countries, to different services, that's where the main money is coming in, because they know that people are going to watch it. They know that people want to see it, and they don't have the infrastructure to have CBS All Access in all these other countries. So really, they're going to be getting money regardless, because companies are going to want viewers, and then they're going to buy Star Trek because of that. So I kind of see your point, but at the same time, I do have that slight fear that it's going to be... I've read so many comments, I'm not going to watch it, and I'm just going to pirate it, or I'll never watch it, or boycott it because I don't like the ship, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure most of those people will change their mind, but...
If it's good, as we've said, if it's a good... Like Star Trek Beyond, it converted us because it's a good movie. It's not a timeline we like, it's got lots of canonical problems, although a lot less, but it's a good and better movie. Make a good product, and people will come. You know what I mean?
Build it and he will come.
Exactly. Although I want to double back to being cancelled. I don't... For someone who's studied film, who's very into that whole side of things, I find it ridiculous when people just say, "Oh, is it cancelled? Is it going to be cancelled? Is it going to be cancelled? Before it's even released?" Well, obviously not. Why on earth would you say that? Because if CBS is the parent company. They own the network, CBS All Access, and they're making a show directly. If they've put, 350 million into this production, they're not going to cancel it until at least they break even. Because, like you just said, they will make a first season already covered. If people don't like the direction, they'll alter it for the second season. They'll lower the budget. They'll make, because they've already got the sets. They've already implemented most of that initial cost. They can make a cheaper second season. They can then make the money off it. And even if the creative vision isn't working, they might stop the show in a couple of years. But they have complete control. It won't be cancelled. It'll be given its complete fair share, because this is their big. We're reintroducing. Think about it. Over 10 years. NX-01 was launched in 2001. 15 years. It'll be 16 years. That is most of my life.
17 years.
Yeah. Most of my life. People were born, I have friends that are almost that age, who never, you know what I mean? So it's crazy to think they're just going to abandon... Companies don't abandon things without Even great example, Quentin Tarantino. The entire script for his movie was leaked. He waited like 2 years and still made it, despite having all that bad press and people, because he wanted to make the vision, and he already put his money into getting the cast and stuff. So things don't tend to get done like that. Of course they're going to make it. Of course they're going to finish it. Of course they're going to probably get a season 2. I'm sure they have under contract at least 2 seasons every actor, because they want to make sure an arc happens. They want to make sure that development. That's why you put Robert Downey Jr. on for 7 movies at the start of his career, because you want to make sure we can get this going. Captain America 1 and Thor 1 weren't great, but they were hell of going to commit to make the full thing, because you've got to have that foundation. So it's foolish, honestly, to say, oh, they're going to cancel it because we've had no casting.
And we've heard a lot about that. It's been pushed back. It's not going to happen. Blah blah blah.
It's like, no, they want to cast it properly. I mean, how many? It's like the Elementary or Sherlock or almost the same show, Arrow, Flash. I mean, you don't hear about all the casting announcements 8 months before. You just don't. Why would you? You wouldn't. You see them either just before the episode comes out, or they post it themselves. So I think fundamentally just wait and see, and if it's good Trek, it'll spawn more Trek, and if it's not good Trek, we'll have a lot of shows to talk about.
Exactly. So let's wait and see. That's basically what it boils down to. All right. Well, I think that's about it for this discussion.
But closing thoughts, Stuart, on is it gonna succeed being on an only digital service now, having talked about it for quite a long time now?
I think it will. Yes. Yeah. You kind of allayed some of my fears with some of your points there. So, not that I was really that worried about it. So yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be successful regardless.
And I like the forward thinkingness, because it means they're in 100% control of it. They own all the rights. They make
the decisions. They can approve what gets on the air, what doesn't.
They own all the sets. It's them, and it's a platform that think about it. You really think in 10 years from now, you're still going to have 150 TV channels on a satellite box, a satellite on the roof? No, it'll be 100% via the internet. It'll be 100% digital. So they're forward thinking. So if this show lasts 7 years, the networks it would be on would not exist. It would be going all digital anyway. They're just starting at the head of the curve, which is what Star Trek has always done. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing. It could backfire, but it's a really good thing. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And on that note, we'll call it quits for this podcast. Hope we've kind of convinced you guys that this is a good thing and to take part in it and enjoy it. So, I guess that's it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, whatever you need to do.
Support us even on Patreon or YouTube. Trekyards.com, we're on YouTube as well, but watch us on YouTube, and Trekyards.com, you click the donate button, or just watch the show and share the show, and just be part of the community.
So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Coggins.
And we are Team Trekyards. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.